That looks good.
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is Tuesday, July 5th, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo.
Hey,
welcome,
everybody.
Guys.
How you doing? Happy day after the 4th of July.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's the 5th of July here in our part of the world in Northeast Ohio. I am Paul Seaburn, the host of What am I? What in the world?
You gotta catch yourself for a moment.
It's your show.
Today, warning. What in the world? Everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto, and that's what we try to live up to every week. You tune into us because you're tired of the bad news and the political news, religion, and the family news, and all that other stuff. You just want to hear weird stories that hopefully are funny. If they're not, we try to make them funny every week here on What in the World. I'm here with Karen Hale, the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, everybody's favorite podcasting platform. Please visit us there. She's got a bunch of great podcasts besides What in the World for you to choose from. And my co-host, John DiNallo, with What in the World of Sports. Hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen.
Hey, John.
So every week we get together here once, usually if you check in with us live, we're on Tuesdays at 3:30 on newclevelandradio.net. You can also find out all the platforms that we're on for listening, for downloading us. We were just talking about this before. We're now on Apple. We're on Amazon. That's the one of those A words. All the great podcasts. So just Google What in the World with Paul Seaburn, and it'll show you all the places where you can listen to the show. And why do you listen to the show? For all the great weird stories. And let's just get right to it. I'll give you a hint, little preview what you're going to be hearing about today. There's a connection between Pringles and spiders. We're going to learn about that today. Yeah. How about that? Not it's not spiders in your Pringles. Don't worry. Marrying alligators in Mexico. This is a thing. And I've got some weird trivia to go along with that. We always like to talk about trivia on What in the World. So I've got some weird trivia to go along with this alligator story. We like to talk about food. Strange craft beer is being brewed in Singapore. So going around the world, we're going across the Pacific there. A kid in Tennessee caught an albino catfish. We're going to take a look at that. I mentioned we do have photographs occasionally to go with the stories. So that's where it's always good to check in with us on YouTube, and you get to see the stories, the photos that go along with the stories. There's also a connection. John knows this story already. There's also a connection between Bluetooth and a Viking king. So hopefully we'll have time to get to that at the end of the show before we do sports with John. More odd news and trivia. You name it. we play everybody's favorite weird news show, Bluff the Co-host. So let's get right to it before I lose my train of thought. Again, that train has probably left the station already, but we mentioned that it's the 5th of July. That means yesterday, John, was the 4th of July, and that was the day your favorite athletic competition was staged in New York.
And of course, I know exactly what it is, Paul. And I'll tell you what, to be candid with you, I knew it was on, but I didn't watch it because.
Oh, no.
I didn't watch it, Karen, because I figured that Joey Chestnut would win again, right? So I kind of was flipping through the channels, and I said, you know what?
Bigfoot's a little disappointed.
Well, I'm sorry, Paul, but
we're referring.
Yeah. So who won? Did he win?
Of course.
I was going to say, we're referring to the Coney Island hot dog eating, Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest held every year at Coney Island. We talked about it on the show before. John is referring to Joey Jaws Chestnut, who has won. I think I wrote down how many times he's won. 15.
15, yeah.
Yes. And John, he did win yesterday.
But you know what?
Nobody was
close to his record And he wasn't even close to
He
it.
wasn't,
was,
close, but there's a reason why, and that's the real story here. You really missed out, John. I'm going to get a picture up over here while we're talking about Joey Chestnut. So Joey won for the 15th time in 16 years. He's only missed once in 16 years. He ate 63 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Now that is far below his record, which he set last year of 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. The reason why, though, is because right in the middle, right around the 5-minute mark, the photo shows that he was at 17 hot dogs at the time. So even before the 5-minute mark, someone runs up on stage in a Darth Vader helmet, holding up a sign to protest something. And I'm not going to give them the courtesy of letting you know what they were protesting. I don't care. You don't interrupt the Nathan's World Championship for anything. So
absolutely.
Joey Chestnut. Now you may think that hot dog eating competitors are not athletes. Well, Joey Chestnut is. Joey Chestnut stops eating, puts his hot dog down. He's still got one stuffed in his mouth, and gets this protester in a neck hold and holds them there until the authorities, which is the guy in the straw hat, come running up, the judge, I guess, or announcer, and grab this protester and hauled them off the stage. And Joey, just never breaking stride after that, goes right back into the hot dogs. And at the end of 10 minutes, 63 hot dogs were downed.
Wow.
Now,
interesting story.
To show what a great, that's not the only way he demonstrated what a great athlete he is. He also, yesterday, showed up on crutches with a cast on one of his feet because he had a ruptured tendon. Now, how you rupture a tendon eating hot dogs, I don't know. I couldn't find the answer to that, but it was a tendon in his leg, not in his jaw. So, the guy's got big arms. He's got massive biceps from lifting hot dogs because he trains all the time. He put his arms around. He should have scared the guy. He should have looked at him like he was a hot dog and opened up his mouth. And that would have scared the pants off the guy. Now, to give the ladies equal time, the women's contest was won by what's her name? Miko Sudo. Miko Sudo won the and she came back. She downed 40 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. So now again, not a world record for her. She holds the world record from 2 years ago, 2020, 48 and a half hot dogs in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Well, she's a new young mama, so
thank you for bringing that up, Karen. That's right. The reason why she took a year off is because she was pregnant. Now, I thought that was an interesting connection between eating hot dogs, or maybe I should say, giving up eating hot dogs and getting pregnant. What could the connection be here? I don't know. And I'm not. This is a family show, so we're not going to go there. But 48 and a half hot dogs is a record. So she had 4. So why does anybody else show up? These two own the championship. It's like Tom Brady. They're the Tom Brady's, the GOATs of hot dog eating.
Yep, you got it.
So, but speaking of goats, now we're talking about the goat of snacks, Pringles. You like Pringles, John?
I do like Pringles. Yes, I do. My grandfather used to enjoy Pringles because they were less salty. So I could count on when I would go to his house, go to my grandparents' house, that I would get Pringles from them.
Get Pringles, yeah. They eat them right out of the can, or did they put them in a bowl?
Oh, put them in a bowl, And,
how the old-fashioned way.
Well, yeah, that is the old-fashioned way, right? There's kind of a play on words there with that, right?
John, on the other hand, I'm sure took 6 or 7, stacked right out of the can, like I used to.
I still do to this day, much to Annette's chagrin. She says, be a little more, you have a little more food etiquette than that, But.
Well, Pringles were in the news this week for a very strange reason. The company that owns them, Pringles, has started a petition asking the International Society of Arachnology, which means the study of spiders, to rename an Asian spider to call it the Pringle spider, because the markings on its back make it look like it's wearing the famous logo of Pringles. John, you've eaten Pringles. What's the logo? What's on a Pringles can before I bring
Well,
it up?
isn't it a person with a mustache, with a black
There you
mustache?
go. Wow, you actually pay attention while you're eating. That's
Yes, I do. Yeah, well, I have to read something when I'm eating. You know how that goes, right? You have to read something, but there he is, sure.
So here's the promo. They said Pringles, make the Pringles Spider official. Be a part of snack and spider history. Go to Twitter # Pringles Spider, and I guess you vote to help convince these arachnologists to name the place. So over to the right is the spider. See if I.
Yeah, he's very clear. He's clearly seen in that last.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks very much like that giant spider, the giant mustache, handlebar mustache, and the two eyes. So I think they. And they're hoping that they actually name this spider. Poor thing. I don't know what it's got, some weird Latin name. So
Do you want to eat something that has a spider on the packaging? I don't.
Well,
well,
unless it were spiders, maybe. I don't know. It's they do eat spiders. I apparently they're very tasty.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Not in your cereal, and certainly not in your Pringles can.
That's right.
John, so you remember Pringles from way back. When did Pringles hit the market? Take a guess at that.
I'm gonna say 1967.
Oh, one year off. Very good. 1968. They were called America's first stackable potato chips.
Right.
By 2012, they were the fourth most popular snack behind Doritos, Cheetos, and something else.
Aren't they from Procter and Gamble?
They're from Procter and Gamble. That's right.
Oh.
They're which is an Ohio company down in Cincinnati.
That is correct.
And good segue, Karen, because Procter and Gamble got into some serious trouble when Pringles came out for calling them potato chips, because the people make like Lay's and all, all the other potato chip manufacturers said, no, they're not chips, because a chip is a slice of a potato. That is not a real chip. So they were sued by all these other companies, and they had to change it. They called them, they originally called Pringles Newfangled Potato Chips. So they changed it to crisp. They called them Real Potato Crisp rather than potato chips. The you know how many potatoes, how much percentage of potatoes are in a Pringle? 42%.
Really?
Yeah, the rest of it is wheat flour, rice flour, and salt and corn flour, things like that. There's only 42% potato. They were invented that now both of you, I'm sure, eat regular potato chips. What's the biggest complaint about regular potato chips?
Your fingers are greasy after eating them.
You're taking too big of a handful, John. That's one of the complaints. I apologize. That's one of the complaints. We should have call-ins here to see what the studio audience has to say. But
so the biggest complaint about a potato chip, is that what you're asking?
A bag of potato chips, yeah.
Well, so they get crushed. They get crushed and crumbly.
And they're crumbly. There's always crumbs at the bottom. So they wanted to come up with a way, that Procter and Gamble come up with a way to solve that problem, all those problems. And in 1956, now this is way before 1968, they had a chemist try to develop a new kind of potato chip at the Procter and Gamble Research Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he couldn't come up with one. So he couldn't come up with one that tasted good. He had the shape down, but he couldn't come up with one that tasted good. And then in the 60s, they hired another engineer. How about the name? What do you think? Where do you think that name came from? These days, people pay millions of dollars for.
Does it have some kind of British origin? Am I off on that?
Oh, that's a good thought, because they like to eat crisp over in.
I'm going to say it's Paul. Again, Karen, it's got some kind of British origin. From UK, something like that.
Good guess. That's not the answer. That's a good guess. No, I would have thought. My guess is that they spent millions and millions of dollars with some advertising company to come up with it. Turns out they did it the old-fashioned way. One was they named it after the guy who filed the patent, Mark Pringle. Okay, so that sounds pretty legit. But he denied it. He said no. And this was way back in the 1937. When they were looking for a patent on processing potatoes. So they said, no, that's not it. Then they said two employees from Procter & Gamble lived on Pringle Avenue in Finneytown, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. So they asked them, they said, no, that's not it. So they did. It turns out they went through the phone book looking at names, and that's how they found Pringles. They thought that's a funny sounding name. The poor Pringles, the people, they should have paid them at least something for using their name. But
yeah, you would think.
How about that? If you lived in Cincinnati, we'd be eating DiNallo's right now.
Wow. I didn't have a patent on the food, so I don't know if that would be possible.
Your grandfather would love them if that's
what. My grandfather would love that. Absolutely, exactly. No, he was getting me in the right path to make sure I had the right nutrition, had something good to eat over there.
Well, there you go. Get your 42% potatoes every day.
There you go.
Okay, so now we're talking about the logo. The logo obviously is the man with a handlebar mustache. The original logo, I've got a picture of the evolution of the logo. So the original logo started up that one up there up in the left-hand corner, 1907. He has hair. He has red cheeks. He has brown hair. The mustache is brown, and the name Pringles is his bow tie, and that was the big signature thing for a long time. The Pringles bow tie. Eventually, they first eliminated the Pringles bow tie, then they eliminated his hair, then they eliminated the color. So now he's just this boring little, smiley face without the smile, just with the mustache.
He looks like Luigi.
Luigi, good timing, Karen. Good segue. What do you think his name really is? It's not Luigi, but let's see. Not the same number of syllables either. Oh no, it is. It is the same number of syllables. Begins with the J.
Mario.
No, that doesn't begin with. His name is Julius.
Julius. Oh.
They call him Mr. P. He didn't have a name. This is we have trivia overload here. He didn't have a name, so the employees referred to him as Mr. P for Pringle. And someone cracked into the Wikipedia page for Pringles and implanted in there a fake story that said his name was Julius Pringle. And before they could stop it from going viral, everybody thought that his name was Julius Pringle. So they just decided to stick with that.
Okay.
How about that? Yeah. So.
All right. Okay. You get a connection there. So we understand that. All right.
Yeah. I'm hungry now. Where you never get Pringles? On an airplane. And that's a segue to my next segment. Air New Zealand. And I haven't been on an airplane in a while. So this is a fun story to investigate. Air New Zealand announced that economy class passengers, which is where I have to fly, on long flights, I don't know where you're going from New Zealand. I guess every place is a long flight if you live in New Zealand. But if you're flying economy, they will set aside an area in the back of the plane, and they have 6 full-size single beds, and you can sleep back there. You can actually rent the bed during your flight for 4 hours and catch 40 winks at 40,000 feet in the air. Not to be outdone, Spirit Airlines, the other economy, really economy airline, is offering their economy class passengers a place to sleep in an area of the plane formerly known as the floor. The beds, if you're interested in this, John and Karen, or those of you out there in podcast land, take a look at Air New Zealand, and they're really proud of this. So you can see they look big enough. They're like a single bed. they have subdued lighting in this particular photograph. However, there's some things missing. For one thing, there's no privacy.
Yeah. Well, looks like there's a curtain.
I'm not sure. I looked at all the, I guess, on the side. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but you're laying right next to, you're within feet, maybe 3 feet away from the other 5 people. So if you're getting into the Mile High Club, you're pretty much, everybody's going to know. Might as well be the Mile High Exhibitionist Club. Just open it up and let everybody see.
Oh.
You can eat your breakfast in bed if you so desire. Yeah, all 10 pretzels that they bring you. You can eat the little
Lord
facility over here. But here's my first question: what if you're a sleepwalker and you're on a plane and you start sleepwalking?
I think you're in the wrong place, Paul.
Yeah.
This is, this is what would happen to me. I'm sure I'd be sleepwalking, and the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm duct taped to the wall because I tried to get into the cockpit because I thought it was the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's my kind of luck. But the next thing I thought of, which I normally do with a lot of these stories, is there a way we can make money doing this? And the first way I thought of, because I'm normally sitting in the economy seat, and the person next to me invariably falls asleep on my shoulder. Why not rent your shoulder out to the passenger next to you if they're looking for a comfortable place to sleep and you don't plan to sleep? I don't know how much that would be worth. People are paying $25 to check a bag, maybe $10 or $15 to have a nice shoulder to sleep on for 4 hours.
You're too cheap. No. It's got to be more expensive than that.
More expensive than that. Okay, all right. Well, I would up it an extra $5 because I'd want to put plastic on my arm in case they drooled.
Yeah, good idea.
Which is the reason why I don't sleep on a plane. I used to fly a lot and I never slept on a plane. And the reason why is because I would drool. I'd fall asleep and I'd start drooling. And I wake up, I get off the plane, I got bed hair, my shirt drenched. People are wondering what kind of weird Mile High Club are you in, buddy? So that's interesting concept. I think I'm sure there's people that would want to do that for and that's economy. The business class and first class, I'm sure, have 4-poster beds and people with fans, feather fans, but keeping you cool, and they're bringing tea and all the stuff they do in first class that we're not allowed to see. Okay, let's talk about another one of my favorite stories this week. I'm going to take this down for a second here. This comes from the Harvard Medical School. So we always like to talk about medical advice here. Experts at the Harvard Medical School are proposing a new type of bank. So they're getting out of medicine and into banking, of all places, where you can deposit not money, but, I'm going to say one of those 4-letter words here, your poop. You can deposit your poop and save it for future medical treatments. And the medical treatment would be fecal microbiota transplants, which is the new thing now, Karen and John and everybody out there in podcast land, where they take your feces and they implant it into your intestines. And apparently that adjusts your bioflora and your gut microbes and all that stuff.
Well, to me, that's a story that I don't need to know more anything
about. Thank you, John.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. So
I think we're going to pull this show.
Wait a minute. No, this is serious. So they want you to save it though, because you need a lot. It's like donating blood. So you need more than just one trip. So they're setting up a bank that you can bring it into. So the first thing I'm thinking of is I can't wait for those days. And my doctor says to me, I got to do that. So I'm walking down the street and that lady from Capital One comes up and says, "Sir, what's in your wallet?" If you really want to see, I'll show you, because I'm on my way to the bank.
Oh boy.
So then you know what happens. So then the banks are going to get into this, and they're going to start trading futures on it, and you'll be able to invest in it. So it won't be called Bitcoin. It'll be called, you can fill in.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
I guess we can figure that one out.
How, John and Karen, you go to the doctor. I can't imagine having that conversation with my doctor. He says, we've got this new treatment we want to try on you.
That's in the category of something I don't want to try. That's
Exactly. And my first thought is, do I have wait? Do I have to eat it? What is this?
No!
Plenty of people tell me that. No. I see that all the time. People tell me that all the time. You should
call for.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Let's move along. Let's move along here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Even Bigfoot says we need to get going here. Bigfoot. Okay. So centuries-old tradition in Mexico to ensure a good rain for the harvest for the year. So this happens in the spring. The mayor of San Pedro in southwestern Mexico got married. Okay, he's supposed to get married every year in the spring in order to ensure a good harvest. So I have a wedding picture of his here. So let's take a look at his wedding picture. There he is. He's marrying an alligator, wearing a wedding dress. Now it's not a huge alligator, but alligators are alligators. It's as big as his leg, I would say. So the mayor every year marries an alligator in a wedding dress, and he actually has to kiss the alligator for the tradition, for the ritual to be complete. So and that's his other wife holding the alligator for him. So they all.
So that he doesn't have to be monogamous.
No. I don't think he'd run this for a second term if that was the case. So the alligators, by the way, the family of the alligator, they also have a tradition for this wedding every year, and that is that the band always, after the bridal dance, they always have to play the gator. Yeah. Now, so John, regular listeners on the show. Oh, by the way, I want to say hello to shout out to Les because I know he listens to the podcast. We got together with him over the weekend, and Jay always sends me a message on that Facebook thing when the show's coming up. So I know Jay's a regular listener. So John and I go back to college. We went to college together. John, I seem to remember, I'm sure I did it, I don't know about you, but I remember dancing the gator at dances in college and potentially in high school as well. Do you recall that?
I'm going to say in college for sure. High school, I'm not going to say so much, but college for sure. Yes, definitely.
Well, what movie made the gator famous?
Well, of course, it's Animal House.
Animal House. And what song were they dancing to?
Shout.
The only song everybody remembers from that show. That's right. The very end, John Belushi looks in the camera and yells "Gator," and they all get. For those of you who aren't familiar with the dance known as the Gator, you basically get down on the floor on your back and wiggle around, and do more interesting things, which we're going to get to right here. So, what was the name of the band, John?
Otis Day and the Nights.
Otis Day and the Nights. So that movie came out in 1978. So that obviously was not our inspiration for the Gator. So I went digging to find out when the gator was invented, and I found the guy who did it. Believe it or not, the gator. Now I don't know his name, but here's a picture of some people doing the gator at a wedding. So for those of you who are on YouTube, you can see these guys are on their back, their legs are up in the air. I would imagine they're thrusting certain body parts as gators are wont to do. Although you don't normally see gators on their backs, they're normally on their fronts. But anyways, to move on from that. So the first gator, here we go, 1955. There's a guy, he's at a party, and he's on the floor. I don't know what song they were playing, but he is spinning around doing the gator. 1955, that's the earliest known record, written or photographic record of someone doing the gator.
Interesting.
Now, since we're in Northeast Ohio, as I like to mention, Northeast Ohio has a connection to the gator. well, actually the state of Ohio. I shouldn't say Northeast Ohio, the state of Ohio. And I'm going to bring up the story that goes along with that, and I'll read it to you. The title, this is from Cincinnati, Ohio. The headline, Alligator Dance Ruled Obscene. This is from 19, I think it's in the 70s. So a Cincinnati judge ruled that the new alligator dance is obscene and asked the Ohio Department of Liquor to ban it at nightclubs and taverns because it was too erotic for the people who were at the nightclubs. They were offended.
Do you notice what club they were at?
No, what club were they at?
It says they were at the Nebish Club. And then and Nebish in Yiddish is not a very nice.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
You're absolutely right. And since we were talking about college, they were the two students in question were University of Cincinnati student. Oh, and a university secretary.
Whoa.
Yeah. They said they didn't consider it obscene. You know, if we had a time machine, it would be fun to take these people who were so adamantly opposed to something as innocent as the gator and bring them to 2022 and see what people are upset with today.
Yeah, they wouldn't believe it, Paul. They would not believe it.
And the word Nebish means a person, specifically a man, who's regarded as pitiful, ineffectual, or submissive.
Oh, submissive. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Bubbas were interested in submissive men.
I didn't say they were interested. They just named them.
What, I did find my Yiddish dictionary. I think we talked about this last week. Why is it, Karen, that there's so many derogatory terms in Yiddish for men?
Maybe because men are derogatory. I don't know.
I know I set myself up on that one.
Yeah, you did.
But anyways, all very good. I thank you for pointing that out. The Nebish. Sure. In Cincinnati, a college bar called the Nebish Club. Wow, who would have figured? But see, you learn so many different things on What in the World. Honest to God, even without warning, it comes up to you. All right, so here's another good one. This one comes from Singapore. So in Singapore, the water supply is getting really bad. Singapore is an island; it's in the Pacific, so they have to rely on local water. Water's getting really bad. How bad is it? A leading craft brewery is making a new kind of beer out of recycled sewer water. Now, obviously, it's been cleaned and purified, and then they get it directly from the treatment plant, and they've come up with this new kind of beer made from treated sewer water. You know what the name of it is? Pabst Ribbon.
Oh, no.
That's not what it's called. I'm sorry. Anybody from Pabst listening? That's not what it's called. It's called New Something, which I couldn't translate. But I thought you were thinking one of you would say Schlitz, which would have been a better.
Well, I guess we could have said that, Paul, but we didn't.
Could have said that's right, John. But you're too modest to throw that one out. So that's why we love having you on the show. Did you know that you can still buy Schlitz beer?
Really?
I wasn't aware of this. Because the craft beer has taken over the beer industry. The Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company was based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was once the largest producer of beer in the United States, formed in 1902 by Joseph Schlitz. And Schlitz, and I didn't realize this, is the beer that was known as the beer that made Milwaukee famous, which is a famous slogan. I didn't realize that was Schlitz. So the Schlitz bought out Stroh's. Now, back when John and I were in college, Stroh's was one of the most popular beers in the Cleveland area. We imbibed a number of those.
Yes, we did. Remember Stroh Party? That was a big deal.
Oh, party time. That's right. Oh, very
party.
good.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So Schlitz was one of the number one breweries. They bought Stroh's in 1982 and then sold the entire works to Pabst. So it falls under the Pabst logo right now, and they still sell Schlitz beer, Old Milwaukee, and 4 different flavors of Schlitz malt liquor. Which, if you really wanted to get loaded, that's what you got. You got the Schlitz malt liquor.
A lot of alcohol content in the malt liquor. No question about it.
Yeah, quite high, quite a distinctive smell too. Both going in and coming out. But and at that point, but it's not the only Pabst Blue Ribbon news this weekend. 4th of July weekend is also the anniversary of the founding of the Pabst Company, which is even older than Schlitz. Pabst was originally opened in 1884. So to commemorate the anniversary of the founding of Pabst, they came out with a box that contains 1,844 cans of beer.
Wow.
An 1,844 pack.
Wow.
For sale, limited time only, if you're interested, John, at various stores, I guess, around the country. The box itself is 4 feet tall, 3.5 feet wide, and really heavy. They said you probably need a forklift and a truck to take it home. So I did the math. The 1,844 cans of 12-ounce cans of beer, 22,128 ounces. That's 1,383 pints, 691 quarts, 172 gallons of beer. Now, I thought, well, that's about a keg, maybe 2 kegs. A keg today is 15.5 gallons. So that's 11. That's almost 12 kegs of beer. I don't know how much it cost. I didn't get the price on it, but for your next party, John, that's what you need. Super Bowl party.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
All right. So the 15-year-old boy in Tennessee, I wanted to show the picture. This is such a cool thing. He catches an albino catfish. Very unusual fish. There he is right there. So I don't have his name to salute him, but it's actually a blue catfish that has no pigment in its scales. So for those of you who can't see it, the fish is completely white except for its fins and its mouth, the inside of its mouth. Those are all pink. So what kind of lure would you use to catch an albino catfish? I know neither one of you are fisher people.
No.
The kind of lure that you use to catch an albino catfish is an Edgar spinner.
Okay.
Edgar Winter. That's
jeez. Okay.
Bigfoot's upset with that one. Bigfoot did not like that one.
He doesn't sound happy.
Bigfoot says, cut that. We'll edit that one out.
Yeah, we will.
What kind of wine goes good with white catfish?
Any kind you can get.
I couldn't come up with a good one, white wine. But what kind of beer? Obviously, that sewer beer would. All
right. Yeah.
All right. So this guy, Richard Carter is this guy's name. He is at the University of Roehampton. So that's in England. He's I have one more picture I want to show you because John wants to see. We were talking about this over the weekend. John wants to see pictures of aliens if we're talking about them. So Richard Carter is a lecturer in digital media, and he's also a poet. And he has released a new set of poems called Signals that are written in a special artificial language designed for communicating with extraterrestrials, space aliens. So he found this language, somebody else developed it, and he thought this would be perfect for sending those messages like everybody's sending now. They're beaming them out into space to communicate with aliens. So he submitted some poems written in a special alien language just for extraterrestrials. And I just happen to have a copy of one of the poems that he wrote that is now on its way to Alpha Centauri or someplace. And here it is. There once was an alien from the Nantucket galaxy who, that's as far as I'm going to go with that one. All right, one more. This one's for John. The Last week we talked about the chupacabra that people are seeing in Texas, and they're seeing something, a wolf man or a dog man. Everybody's panicking now because all of these strange creatures are showing up. Well, this week in another part of Texas was an alien, and I've got a picture, just showed up on a security camera here. So I'll put the picture up while we talk about it. So this is in La Union, which I believe is near Dallas-Fort Worth. La Union. So this is a carport video, and I don't have it. It's not moving. But if you look to the left-hand corner, left side of the opening, there's a thing over there that ran from about halfway across the carport to out of the camera range. Tiny thing on two legs. The people obviously believe that it's an alien, or maybe a chupacabra that walks on two legs, or a baby dog man, or who knows. So what do you say, John? What does that look like to you?
I don't know. It's a figure of some kind, but I can't make it out.
Yeah, I know. Even when it was moving, this is about as magnified as you can get without it.
I can't make it out. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The other thing that obviously we're skeptical, but Google it and internet, you'll see that the creature appears half in the middle of the carport. So the creature doesn't run from one side to the other. This creature appeared in the middle, and then almost like it sensed that it was being watched, and it zipped out of the, and then it apparently peeked around the corner back again. So the thing that I'm getting worried, because one of these days these creatures that are starting to pop up are going to find out that Texans really mean it when they say don't mess with Texas. They're going to, something's going to happen. I don't know what, but, and Texans, the other thing is there's a lot of talk in Texas about seceding from the Union. Well, if all these creatures are coming to visit you from Mars, maybe you want to consider joining up with Mars as a possible, you could be the first or second United State of Mars.
Well, I gather. Well,
something to think about. All right, I want to go real quick into the Bluetooth, Karen. This is for you. John knows this story. So, Karen, you know what Bluetooth is. Karen works at an electronics store.
Yeah, I know what Bluetooth is.
Do you know where the name came from?
Yeah, Rich has a Bluetooth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we're getting close. The Bluetooth obviously was named for a person who had a Bluetooth. And it turns out that person was a Viking king in the 9th century who lived in Denmark. And his name was not Bluetooth. That's what they call him. His name was Harold something. I have his name written down here somewhere.
Harold Schwartz.
No, it wasn't Schwartz. He was Danish. But Karen, and everybody out there. So this Viking king united Norway and Denmark, the way Vikings do. He conquered them. But he was a Christian Viking, which is very unusual. So he brought Christianity to Denmark and to Norway and to Poland. It turns out that he sailed on the Baltic Sea, and there's an island off the coast of Poland, it's part of Poland now, that he also conquered. And he loved it so much, he converted all the people there. He built a church there, and he eventually died there. So they remembered him because he had this Bluetooth. And why did he have a Bluetooth? The same reason I'm sure that other people have a Bluetooth. They didn't go to the dentist. So that was his name while he was there. So the story is that Bluetooth, the Viking, conquered Poland, and the Vikings were the first people to settle in Poland. Now, why are we talking about this week? In that church, it has been abandoned for a number of years. And when they found it, they were digging in the cellar, and there was a crypt in the cellar, and there were coins in the crypt, and they brought out the coins, and on one of the coins, it was a commemorative coin to Bluetooth, possibly when he was married. So, this was after World War II. the soldier who found it took it to the priest. Very honest soldier, took it to the priest. Priest says, I don't need this stuff. So he gave it to the soldier, and the soldier gave it to his mother, who enjoyed collecting buttons. So the collection of buttons gets passed down to generation to generation, to a few weeks ago when little 11-year-old granddaughter, great granddaughter, finds this button and takes it to school and shows it in history class. And the teacher goes nuts. Oh my God, do you know what this is? So it's the coin of Bluetooth. Now, how did it become part of technology? So the story of Bluetooth, the Viking, is fairly well known among historians. John knows all these stories. So somebody like John is working for Intel, the chip people. And Intel, this is when they're developing wireless technology. So they don't have a name for the wireless technology, and they're doing business with other companies to join in. They're doing business with IBM and a company called Ericsson out of Sweden. So they have this big meeting where they're hashing out, what the design and the last thing they have is the name. They can't come up with a name, and they're coming up with weird, Z7429 or technical names. And so the guy from Intel and the guy from Sweden go out for drinks afterwards, and they find out that they're both interested in history, and they're swapping stories. And one of the stories that the Swedish guy said was the story of Bluetooth. And the guy from Intel liked that so much, he says, we'll use that for a name and until they come up with something good. So that's what they did. All the contracts, they put Bluetooth as like a placeholder. And when then they forgot about it. And they developed the technology, and they're signing all the papers, and they're getting ready to release it, and they're going through it, and we probably shouldn't call it Bluetooth. What do we need to call it? And the IBM, because they were the most powerful, they said PAN, which stood for something network. And they looked up PAN, and there's tons of things like PANs named PAN. So that was a bad name. So they stuck with Bluetooth, and they figured marketing will figure it out. And it was so popular when it came out that's what it is today, Bluetooth. So
okay.
Huh.
yeah. So a Danish Viking who conquered Poland ended up providing the name for something that every single one of us uses thousands of times a day, I'm sure.
Interesting.
That is correct.
I'll have to use that next time I'm selling, a Bluetooth device.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you'll get a lot of sales with that story.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I just love that. The lovely Donna is Polish, so she related to it for a while, and then she didn't like the part about the Vikings conquering Poland. So, but anyway, speaking of conquering, that's usually a good segue into our next segment, which is What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo, because so many sports have the competitive nature and maybe have evolved from the 9th or 10th century. And it's John's job every week, for those of you who are new to the show, to find weird and unusual sports to talk about on What in the World of Sports with John. So, we often say you'll never top the one you did last week. And John invariably tops the one he did last week. And that's what he's going to do today. I already guarantee it. I have some pictures of it. So, John, why don't you just get right into your sport for the week while I line up some photos for you?
Well, thanks for the introduction, Paul. Yeah, we'll get started here. It's gonna be a little bit of a shocking title when you hear it, but let me present it, and then I'll give more information. Our sport this week is car-jitsu. Wait a minute. Yes, again, car-jitsu. Let me explain. Car-jitsu.
Yeah, please do.
Now, it's a crazy and exciting concept that is currently gaining great popularity in Russia. And
you got plenty of time to compete. Okay.
Oh yeah. Now, and as you may have guessed from the name,
this actually, I believe this started before the conflict. So
okay.
Yes, my research indicates that also. But as you can guess from the name, the sport is actually jiu-jitsu in a car.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. I can't top it. Can't top that.
In a car. Okay.
Oh wait, so the organizer of the event, okay, this is actually an event and it's actually a competition, is Vikenty Mikiev, and he is a person who holds a judo black belt, and he's also a mixed martial arts fighter.
Oh,
So
great!
he
Just who you
said,
want in a car, okay?
well, right. So according to Vikenty, he says that in 2020 he came up with the idea of doing competitive wrestling in cars. And so the sport,
Oh
Karjitsu,
no.
was hatched. Now, for example, since October of 2020, he and his friends have run small tournaments of Karjitsu to study the aspects of Jiu-Jitsu application in such a confined space. That's one of the elements about this sport, is that it's Jiu-Jitsu done in a confined space. And not surprisingly, the sport is a form of street fighting that you can apply in the real world. Now, the rules of the game are simple.
I want to interrupt you for a second there, John, because as John is always incredulous about stories of UFOs and Bigfoot, Karen is incredulous in terms of the sport. And I just want to point out to you, Karen, I put up a picture of these two guys who are competing in Karjitsu. You notice this they actually have a clock and their names are on the screen.
I see that. Yeah.
The broadcast. They're on TV with looks like the judge peeking in the car's windshield to judge them on what John's about to explain.
Right. Well, thanks, Paul. Yeah. So the rules for the sport are simple, very simple.
Rules.
Both competitors start in the front seat. Now, a match has two main periods of 3 minutes each, where competitors then switch the drivers and the passenger sides. So this must be done. The passenger and then the driver have to switch their spots. Points are awarded for gaining an advantageous position and for a submission. The goal, as usual, is to submit the opponent. Now, if the submission score is equal after both rounds, the competitors then move to the back seat, and they move for a deciding 4-minute round where points also come into play. The point system is 4 points for each mount and back control, and 2 points for a knee on the belly. Now, everything inside the car, including the seat belts, steering wheel, mirrors, and seats, can be used to gain an upper hand in the match.
I want to point out to Karen, the loser is the one who submits. Would that make him nebbish?
Oh.
Our word of the day, Yiddish word of the day is nebbish.
Now, and for the matches, the key to winning is the supposed creative use of the environment. Now, when Vikenty,
the environment meaning the inside of the car.
Well, right, exactly. He has a favorite move, somewhat similar to what studio wrestlers have. So he says the reverse seat belt is highly effective, and he's a champion of that move. And he says it's very convenient, even more than the jacket lapels, which are usually used because in jiu-jitsu, you grab the jacket lapels. But anyway, this one, even if you block it, can be pulled for a long time. And it's good because you can actually know where it is located. So there's a technical...
I want to point out that to Karen again and everybody at home that women compete in Karjitsu as well. And
this is just like totally ridiculous.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Oh, it gets worse. But as it always does. So here, one of the reasons why you want women is for photographs like that. Obviously, men put this whole competition together. So the women are in a very non-flattering position while they're wrestling inside a tiny little Russian car. And the guy in the back, I wonder if that guy in the back peeking in the window is a judge or if he's a spectator who paid to, he's got box seats to the.
Yeah, he's got box seats. All right.
Yep. There it has the,
maybe that's the Loge.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Loge for Karjitsu. But But as dangerous as the idea sounds, it's actually a very innovative way to apply jiu-jitsu to a real life scenario. Where, for example, if worse comes to worse, you need to defend yourself in a car.
Well, that does
So,
make
no,
sense.
and so again, and this could be due to like a carjacking, a bad date. I mean, could be any one of a number of reasons when this would come into play and be able to help someone. Now,
There you
but
go.
while they don't have a TV contract yet, the Jiu-Jitsu organizers have received over 2 million views on YouTube alone. And so,
Popular sport.
well,
Oh my.
How
well,
long?
this-
How long before we have this in the United States?
it'll be streamed into your TVs. Trust me. Now, this goes to show that clearly there is a strong demand for both the sports viewing standpoint and a self-defense standpoint. So on the surface, you may think this is some kind of frivolous sport that, as Karen says, is ridiculous. However, there is a value to it. And also, this past weekend, I thought I saw a Jiu-Jitsu match going on at a business near my house. But what it actually turned out to be two people fighting over the only new car in the lot.
Oh, no. I can
Oh,
imagine that.
boy.
You know, jiu-jitsu would come in handy for that, I think. These guys almost look like they're looking for the French fries that they dropped. Well, that's usually what I look like when I'm in that particular position.
You know, yesterday I got my Beetle back, so I went and washed it and then vacuumed it out. I couldn't barely move in it. And look at these people, like they're tumbling around and
They're wrestling, actually, Karen. Yeah. They're
yeah.
wrestling.
Well, I
Yeah.
call it tumbling.
Yeah, I don't know if it's full-blown wrestling. It's something. It is something.
I have
Oh,
to,
boy.
I want to take a look.
Wow.
The here we go. Get that back there. The Jiu-Jitsu, unbelievable. Jiu-Jitsu in a car. Sounds like a simple idea, turns into actually a very competitive sport. On YouTube, they've got scores, they've got cameras, they've got fans, they've got both sexes. They probably have mixed Jiu-Jitsu, which would certainly be worth spending extra money to see.
Yeah.
But you know, I always believe it or not, I think John and I, he may not remember this, but back when we were in college, we competed in a form of Jiu-Jitsu.
I'm sure you did.
Do you remember that, John? It was
No, Paul, I have a vague recollection. If you have a picture, it'd probably refresh my memory.
back when we were in a fraternity, we used to compete with the other fraternities in various sports. And I believe this is a photo of us competing with another fraternity in Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, I can't find it. What happened to it? It disappeared.
Oh, we missed
Oh,
it.
Disappeared. What happened? It was oh, I'll have to add it later. It was a picture of a bunch of people cramming into a Volkswagen Beetle. Boy, the editor screwed up on this one. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But there's
We believe you two did that. Yes.
Oh yeah, I was in a rush
Yeah.
through the.
There's photographic evidence there, Karen. That's
Yes.
what it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
Jiu-Jitsu, another great sport from John DiNallo. Thank you, John, for that
Thank
great,
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, gang. You're
great
welcome.
story and sport, and you'll never be able to top that.
Oh, yes, you will.
Wait till
challenge
next
for
week.
the week. That's right. All right. Well, at that, everyone who's listened to the show before knows that at the end of What in the World of Sport, we move on to Bluff the Co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. The rules, it does have rules, are simple. I have 3 stories, similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. The big difference is that while those are all real, these may be real or a bluff, and it's up to John and Karen and those of you playing at home to decide which ones are real, which ones are bluff. Could be 1, could be 2, could be all of them. Wagering is allowed. Place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. Speaking of sports, no state has more clothing optional resorts than Florida. If you're wondering what people do at these resorts besides walk around naked, a new study found that the #1 sport at nude resorts is nude pickleball. That's right. Nude volleyball used to be the top sport, but nude pickleball is beating the pants off of it. The one resort has 6 courts, and the owner reports that there are hundreds of matches on those courts 7 days a week. Despite the obvious connection, no one minds that the sport is called pickleball. That could be because the second most popular sport at nudist resorts is, you guessed it, cornhole. All right. So the most popular sport at nude resorts is pickleball, nude pickleball. What do you say, Karen and John? Real or bluff?
There's no reason to think that it's a bluff. People in Florida, not including John and his family when they go down there. Floridians can be a little bit odd. So let's say it's a real story.
Karen says it's a real story. All right. How about you, John? What do you say? Nude pickleball.
I'm going to have to agree with Karen because it sounds very plausible. I mean, people in Florida do all different kinds of things, and this would be something that would be another different type of activity. So I'm going to say it's true. Pickleball is so popular now. I mean, you can see, some kind of group doing a splinter type of it. So I'm going to say it's true.
Okay. Have you ever seen nude pickleball while you were in Florida?
Thankfully, I have not.
Okay. I kind of feel the same way. I have a feeling that I have the picture in my head. It's going to be a long time before I get it out of there. All right. So both of you say that's a real story. Nude pickleball is a real story. And cornhole number 2. Not to put those two together, but let's check with the judges, and the judges say congratulations to both of you. Nude pickleball is a real thing.
All right, Karen. Very good.
Very good.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Next time you're down in Florida, could you take some pictures for us?
I don't know, Karen, if my camera or my phone would be able to make the photograph of something.
Oh yeah, then John gets
shaking too much. I'd be shaking.
Okay.
He gets pulled over on the way back, and they're checking his phone. What is this?
Really? Contraband.
What in the world will be getting a phone call to bail John out?
Oh boy.
Again. Anyway. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. All right. So scores 1-1. Oh, this is unusual. We have a highly contested what in the world of Bluff the Co-host this week. Let's get right to story number 2. It's been almost 50 years since the movie Jaws premiered in 1975, but its memory can still shut down a beach. Over the weekend, Amity Beach in Massachusetts, where the movie was set, had to be shut down due to a shark scare. No, there wasn't a great white shark in the water. There was a man who looked exactly like the movie's shark hunter, Quint, walking along the beach, pointing at the water and yelling at people that he needed a bigger boat. Lifeguards politely asked the Quint impersonator to leave, but he refused, yelling that he was a real shark hunter and everyone there was in danger. Since there was no one on the beach who looked like Richard Dreyfuss or Police Chief Brody from the movie, they managed to distract the man by telling him that there were skinny dippers farther down the beach that he could save. And the local cops met him down there. Now, not many people went back into the water after this because they said they couldn't get that music out of their heads. Okay, so the beach that was shut down because Amity Beach, the Jaws Beach, shut down because a man impersonating Quint, the shark hunter, was scaring them. What do you say, John? Real or bluff?
Well, I'll tell you, Paul, part of me wants to believe that it's true, but the more logic I apply to this is I'm going to say it's false. That didn't happen.
Logically, it's false. Okay.
Logically.
All right. John says it's a bluff. What do you say, Karen?
Well, I have to agree it's a bluff because, how many people really remember what this guy looked like? I mean, when was Jaws?
1975. 50
I know
years.
that's a long time. And this guy would be, he'd be old by then. So I'm going to say it's a bluff.
You say it's a bluff. Okay.
Yeah, you made up a good story today.
It was a big. Oh, you already. Well, I didn't even get to whether it's real or not. There was a big hint. For those of you playing at home, there was a big hint in that story that would let you know ahead of time whether it was real or a bluff. And the judges say both of you were right. That was a bluff. And the big hint was when I said Amity Beach, because Amity Beach was a made-up beach. There's no such beach as Amity.
Oh.
They didn't want to scare get lawsuits when they made the movie saying it was, Edgewater Beach in Cleveland. And nobody would go there because they'd be afraid that there's sharks in Lake Erie.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Now I planted that in someone's head. Okay, so wow, this is unbelievable. The score is 2-2.
Yeah.
Can't be beat. We can't be doing any better. We can't be doing any better.
Went to round number 3 with the score tied. That's pretty unusual. So let's get right to story number 3. Most Disney fans would assume that Snow White wasn't much of a fighter because she had the 7 dwarfs to protect her. But police in Brazil found out otherwise. They were called out this weekend to a disturbance in a popular local park. And there they found Snow White sitting on top of a man while she punched him in the face. Believe it or not, there was a man standing by dressed as Darth Vader who said he was afraid to pull her off. It turns out that Snow and Darth were participating in a cosplay party when this uncostumed guy crashed the party and began trampling on the beautiful flowers in the park. She got mad, jumped on him. It took 3 cops to subdue Snow White and another one to arrest the guy. Now, Snow would have been arrested too, but they turned her over to a charming young man named Prince who said he was her husband. All right, so other than that last part right there, Snow White beating up a guy in Brazil with Darth Vader standing by. Real or bluff? What do you say, Karen?
This is too convoluted. I think it's a bluff.
Too convoluted.
Yeah, I mean, very good writing, but no, it's fake.
Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
I understand Karen's view on it being convoluted because it is, but I think just for that reason alone, it's weird enough, strange enough to be true. And it's in Brazil. No offense to Brazilian people.
We have a huge audience in Brazil.
We actually do.
All right, so John, make sure we'll get that apology in to everybody in Brazil. So yeah. John says it's a true story because Brazilians tend to do things like that. John said it, not me. Send your hate mail to John, care of nuclearradio.net. Okay, so Karen says that the story about Snow White beating up a guy while Darth Vader stood by in Brazil is a bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges. And despite the fact that that's a convoluted story, Karen, it's a real story.
You won again, John.
Wow, Karen, I don't know what's going on. Something's not right with the universe. It's all we're in the metaverse now. We're in the metaverse,
Funniest picture: Snow White on top of this guy wailing.
Wow.
And Darth Vader standing, looking down, watching, like some bizarro Star Wars movie.
Well, I mean, I think you put it in the category of anything's possible.
Anything's possible. That's right. In fact, here's what's possible. John wins bluff the co-host. So
yeah, that's not very often. So very good.
No, he's been doing it quite a bit lately.
Boy, no kidding. And he got all 3 of them right, which is highly unusual. So congratulations to John. I know Karen will be ready next week.
Thanks, Karen.
For bluff the co-host again. I want to thank everybody out there in podcast land who tuned in to What in the World, either in the future listening in or watching us on YouTube or live today. I want to say I had another shout out to Linda. We have a number of Lindas who listen to the show. So shout out to all the Lindas out there. So I don't want to leave somebody out by not mentioning her name. And to one Linda, I hope you feel better. Let's see what else. So thank you to everyone who's listening to the show. We love to find out that we have such great listeners, and so many of them. We really are growing by leaps and bounds. So let Karen know. Like us on Facebook. Send me a message. Like us on Spotify or all that other stuff. Whatever you do, follow us on YouTube. Those are the ways we can find out that you're out there. And as always, I thank my old buddy John for What in the World of Sports and for being a good sport all through the show. Great color commentator. Thanks again, John, for your help.
You're very welcome, Paul. It's always a lot of fun every week. Very much so.
Definitely. And as always, thank you to media mogul and producer and co-host Karen Hale for everything you do for NewClevelandRadio.net and for the show. Check out NewClevelandRadio.net. Check out all the great podcasts she has. I think she might have some new ones there. So once you're done with us, there's always something more for you to listen to. And I'm getting plug in for my employer, mysteriousuniverse.org, where some of the stories come from. I also have various other paranormal and weird news stories over there as well. So I think we got all the plugs in.
I think we did.
It's time to hit the road, Jack. With What in the World, we will see you next week.